Well, thank you very much, Margrethe, for this very detailed presentation. Maybe since Margrethe Vestager speaks very well French, I should tell you, I will switch in French. I know that you understand very well. Bon, donc, je voudrais...
Thank you. I would like to very quickly mention why this is such an important point in time for us. Throughout the history of the Commission and Europe, this is the first time that we have a European Defence Fund, which now has been officially launched, and so that is a historic moment. And I wish to point out that it is President von der Leyen who asked myself and Ms. Vestager to lead this common project. Of course, in the interests of defence, but also to explore civil applications, because as we all know, in all the leading countries in the world, particularly thinking of what might happen in the States, in China, defence has often been a source of innovation. And there are also civil applications for that innovation. So let us not forget that this defence fund is part of a larger picture, one for larger technological strategic autonomy, which is part of our industrial strategy as well, and a strategy which takes into account European specificities. We all have different history, national history, different traditions when it comes to defence, and we're well aware of that. But setting up this fund, this allows us to agree upon certain developments and actions we want to take together, while still respecting our 27 separate specificities. So, on the one hand, we want to be clear about what the key technologies are. I'll go into that. And also the civil applications. I'll remind you that the Defence Fund means that now it has over €1 billion per year in it, and that it could go up to 30, 40 billion. This is a powerful tool which we have available to us, and it will allow us to, of course, working in close cooperation with PESCO and the Strategic Compass, it will help us to launch new calls for new projects. And we want the largest number possible of countries and companies to be involved in this. And of course, since this is our money and it's public money, we will do everything we can to ensure that we monitor how it is invested, identifying key technologies which will help us to pursue our strategic goals for technological and strategic autonomy, and our industrial goals as well, but will also help us to explore the civil applications of these developments. So, the second point I wanted to touch upon, with this presentation today, we want to bring together three important elements in our technological sovereignty. So there's the civil and defence part with 11 specific proposals, as Madame Vestager just mentioned, and I just want to touch upon 3 of these 11 specific actions. So what's very important is that we support critical technologies. It's of primordial importance here, and we will carry this out as a repeated exercise. It's a strategic exercise together with experts. We will monitor critical technologies so that we can best identify our key technologies that we need to work on. And it won't surprise you that everything to do with cloud, for example, processors, and new processor technology, that is something we've been focusing on, and we will do so even more now. And I think that since we've seen the tensions that are rising, I think it's clear we anticipated that. And this is a strategic matter. That's clear. And Europe must take a leadership role here on processors and low energy, high performance processors, because we hope that our alliance on processors will be part of that. And we want civil applications as well as military applications for these key technologies, as I said. Of course, space technology will be part of that as well. I'll talk about that more. And, I have to talk about quantum technology as well. I can't help myself. This is something I'm very interested in. I'm not the only one. This is an absolutely vital field. So we've seen in civil applications in health, for example, but also in communication technology, fiber optics. We can see that there are applications for cryptology, for example, quantum cryptography, for communication technologies. And so it's clear that there are civil applications, military applications, that is a priority field for us. And Europe wants to take a leading role here in innovating, not just on quantum supercomputers, but in other fields as well. I just wanted to list a few. In our critical technology observatory project, we will also explore new technologies that we hope to find out more about. And this is an important tool for us in order for us to have a clear methodology and the means to meet new technological challenges without any naivety, but with determination, of course. And so we will focus on flagship projects, synergies for investment. There are 3 projects already that I wanted to mention. Firstly, drones, how we can integrate civil technology into other fields and make the most of our military expertise. It can help us to better combat natural disasters and their impacts. And this is a very important field of technology. We have 2 different tracks, which will be complementary, however. Secondly, space traffic management, another very important topic, which is a key part of ensuring autonomy of access to space to allow us to really be autonomous here and to have more credibility in this field, for example, with our allies like the US. As you know, the EU is the second space power, and we need to have that access in order to put satellites into orbit. So this is another field that we intend to work on and where we hope to maintain autonomy and that credibility that I mentioned, not just with our US allies, but also on a global scale. And another third project, connectivity via satellites. This is connectivity for all. We want broadband across the EU. We cannot allow people to be deprived of that, particularly in this current context of a health crisis. And we want more secure, resilient networks for governments, for companies. And so new forms of satellites can help us to ensure that, combined with cryptography. And when we have our land-based networks, we need to have a backup via satellites. If there were to be a problem, and that could occur at any time, a technological problem or a threat or a cyber attack, we want a greater resilience, and we also want to be able to integrate the African continent into this geostrategic network. My last point, it's very important that we support innovation and disruptive innovation. We want breakthroughs here, and there are a lot of key elements that have led to our success already. Here we have the European Innovation Council, for example, ensuring that startups have access to space. We help them boost their capacities. We help them to carry out experiments. And we have special satellites dedicated to that so that we can make greater innovative leaps, and that helps a lot of companies in Europe because they can use our infrastructure. 8% of the European defence funds are in fact specifically dedicated to disruptive innovation projects. And when we talk about innovation, we mustn't forget incubators. We will have an innovation for networking these defence projects, which will allow us to work together better. We can also work via standards, developing standards, and EU must reinvest in its standard tools and capacity building as well. That's all I wanted to add to what Margrethe said. We can see that this is an important tool for us, and that it will also help us to ensure that everyone can benefit from the European Defence Fund, be they in the defence sector, with all of our member states getting as involved as they wish, and we know that research and innovation, as Margrethe said, in the field of defence does often have civil applications, and we mustn't forget that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Now we